So when you
Right.
say contactless shopping, there are various things like the self checkout. There is
Yeah.
payment automated payment. You don't want to stand
Yeah.
at the counter and pay. And there's
Negotiation.
quite a few. Yeah.
Right.
So one piece of news I was also reading is that the trial room is going to be a problem, right?
Mm.
So at least for some time, government has said that trial rooms will not be allowed. Not even if they're allowed, you have to sanitize between each trial,
Right.
which is
Right.
obviously very impractical. Like
Right. Right.
when I go shopping, I buy, I I take 10 pieces and end up with one
Mm.
in one trial, right? Like you try
Sure.
10 and you buy and you put aside one, and then you again go pick up another 10 and put aside one.
Sure.
So, what's your opinion about this specific uh, challenge?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the problem with the retail format is essentially twofold. One is that as you mentioned, retail spaces tend to be crowded, so social distancing is one challenge. The
Mhm.
other is retail spaces tend to be high touch as well, high touch, high physical touch, right? So you pick multiple things to try on multiple things before you pick what you want to order, and um, that's the format of the structure. So and that with the fear of transmission is has to change. So as you pointed out, multiple aspects sort of are at work here. Now I see a strong synergy in the retail format using digital medium as well, right? So the entire we've been talking about omni-channel retail for quite some time.
Yeah.
The industry has been talking about it, but I expect retailers now to be trying to sort of use models where they have a digital presence uh, where customers could almost sort of identify what they want to pick, and retail outlets be a place where they can just go and pick, or
Yeah.
maybe just do one last part of verification in a seemingly low touch manner. Maybe see that garment as it is without touching it before you sort of say, "Hey, now I'm ready to take it," right? As opposed to,
Mm.
and which means that everything else that you did to before you could decide that, which was touch and feel based, would move to digital. So right from the way you browse the catalog on digital medium, probably might move to mechanisms that mirror a lot more of what happens offline. You talked about technology for virtual trials, right? So where you
Yeah.
could sort of try out garments almost on you in a way which is a lot more 3D, a lot more 2D representative. Um, uh, and there I mean there's almost a dichotomy of sorts here, which is that fundamentally technology is a slightly high entry barrier game. Um, a small retailer may usually struggles to build technology that
Mm.
gives him an edge, right? Now the situation with lockdown in India is that the small retail formats have a little more leeway to operate because they're not sort of places where people congregate, as opposed to say places like retail. The large retail format is largely limited to malls, and those places
Yes.
are less likely to open right now.
Yeah.
So while you have these retailers where you could experiment with technologies, do they have the wherewithal to create those technologies? And the guys who have the wherewithal to create those technologies uh, are less likely to open early or will have more restrictions on them, right? So
Right.
you almost have this um, dichotomy of sorts, which also needs to be worked around, resolved to for the sector to come up as well. And I mean that's where there is innovation or room for innovation. I see a lot of so I've spent a lot of time working in the unorganized sort of manufacturing, distribution, retail. I see a lot of them who, until say 6, 7 years ago, were not uh, did not look at technology as core part of their business.
Yes.
Now asking these questions themselves because they know that they are at this crucial juncture where they
Yeah.
either innovate or they are out
Yeah.
practically,
It's
right?
like
So
push them into the water suddenly. They just
Yeah.
have
It's
to
push
jump.
them into water, and
Yeah,
you have to learn to swim now,
yeah,
or you drown. I mean,
right.
that's the unfortunate reality, right? So that's the situation that, and I think maybe there is. So while there are multiple aspects here that entire reflecting or mimicking that offline experience through technology, using a lot of cross data, maybe across offline, online, to sort of suggest what people need, uh, mirroring the experience of trying out products.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, that is there. I think the interesting thing I see happening now is, or that I would expect to happen right now. I mean, in future, is that uh, by the unorganized nature of retail, I expect platforms to come up a lot more actively who build these solutions for them, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
somebody building a tool by which maybe a retailer can sort of allow his customers to see his catalog in a limited way, possibly, and even sort of place an order and set up a pickup time for example,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
ready and just has to pick and go, right?
Yeah.
Or make a short list where he just comes in and sort of checks it out,
Yeah.
right? So those post-COVID, uh, 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 COVID-safe retail experience platforms might come, and these may not be high capex kind of structures. These luckily we are at a time where people have computing in their hands, literally,
Yes.
right? Which is
Yes.
which
Yes.
is which is which is mobile, right? So platforms, applications which leverage that out. I think there have been theses about kiosk as well.
Yeah.
I'm not as sure because one is high touch, but also because you're spending almost similar time inside the store, even if these kiosks are spread out. Uh, the high touch nature, you could probably still innovate on a kiosk which is almost like a self sanitizing because it's a limited surface area. Post customer sort of finishes his work and moves away. But I think people would still prefer to use their phone screens than a shared screen right now.
Hmm.
That's why even for airlines, for example, airlines have mandated that you carry a printout of boarding pass as opposed to using a kiosk there,
Yeah.
right? On the contact, the other innovation which had been, so by the way, on the unorganized versus organized, so that way US or evolved markets which are more organized is slightly better place because the large format retails have the wherewithal to invest or create that technology, right? So in
Hmm.
India, new platforms will emerge probably, which do that, right? And or existing ones will pivot, and I've seen them pivot. I've seen some of them place another quick round during this COVID, and now I expect this would be a part of their journey. They've dealt and offered certain services to retailer. This would be a part of their bouquet now.
Hmm.
Now, on the contactless stores, um, interestingly, that is a tricky one because it works better in case of sort of staples of sorts, so things where I know I just have to pick up one of these five options, maybe a muffin or something that I always pick up in a
Hmm.
very sort of quick manner, maybe some bit of uh, uh, daily grocery or something, or a milk can or something like that, right? So uh, retail in India has normally, I mean, that thing has been catered a little better with the local kirana stores in India
Hmm.
than contactless stores. I don't know how the capex of it would work out, what kind of ROI, and the fact that there's still certain level of touch when you sort of open up the uh, uh, specific windows or a dispenser to pick up the item, as opposed to somebody else sort of doing it for you, which is
Hmm.
at least one person touching them as opposed to
Yeah.
sufficiently sort of sanitized. So I'm not sure about US. I see the enthusiasm for contactless stores to pick up. India, I don't. Uh, I think the jury is still out as far as
Hmm.
that is concerned.
Right.
But definitely tools and ways for a retailer to maintain proper sanitization, hygiene, maybe even some kind of a rating for them, right? This retailer or even a platform which rates them and say, "Acha, this retailer maintains proper guidelines versus somebody who doesn't," and then you go and pick them up. I don't know. Google ratings will have this COVID
Mhm.
safety score as well, possibly.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very interesting concept. Actually, so I would at this point, since you mentioned the contactless and the fact that maybe shortlist products before you buy. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to introduce one concept which we are experimenting with right now.
Sure.
So so we are looking at a voice-powered kiosk, which is a low
Mm-hmm.
cost. It's low cost because
Got it.
it doesn't require much upfront investment. It will work on an Android TV or any screen basically, right? You even take a normal TV and connect an MI box to it. It becomes Android powered. So low
Got it.
investment and powered by voice. So it avoids the touch part of it, right? The
Got it.
high touch part concern that you mentioned. So
Mm-hmm.
this is something the so have an Android TV in the store. Uh, Not very big size, like because you don't want to take up too much space in the small
Right.
format store, and powered by multi-language support. So let's say English, Hindi, Gujarati, Malayalam, various languages. So it makes it easy for people to navigate. And what do you think about something like this? Do you think this would be
It's a
interesting?
interesting thought. It does solve the touch part of it.
Uh-huh.
Um, Obviously, one needs a very strong AI to two. I mean, retail for me is fundamentally two kinds of retail, right? So one is more I need this, I want to sort of just buy this, and
Yes.
there you could even go to the extent of saying add an Amul butter 500 gram packet to my cart,
Yeah.
and it's ready for me to pick up. Right, so that's
Yeah.
one extreme where I exactly know what I want, and that
Yeah.
works maybe in
Groceries.
the groceries,
Yeah.
FMCG, maybe even electronics to a certain
Mhm.
extent. Right. The browsing part is a little easier because you say show me all maybe butter options. You probably have only 3 or 4 options, and there you say select option B, and maybe you have that entire checkout process. You could even build that in, right?
Yeah.
Now, in fashion lifestyle, it's interesting because browsing itself is a challenge. In
Mhm.
apparel, browsing itself is a challenge because uh, multiple attributes to browse, filter, possibly, and maybe there is sort of room to probably from there link it. Perhaps I'm just trying to think aloud for what that user journey might look like, right? So I come into the kiosk. Let's say I have this app, or probably scan a QR code or something, so that it knows who I am. I do the browsing, and then maybe
Yeah.
I just say send the shortlist over to me, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Or select
Yeah.
the shortlist, and then I can sort of browse them a little more on my phone and say uh,
Yeah.
place an order for these two, and by the time I step out, they're ready for me to pick up. Right? There
Exactly.
is there
Exactly.
is that journey that could be. Then the only, I mean, the question to ask is, can I do all of that on my phone itself? Can I have an app that just does it for me, or a
Yeah.
site that
Yeah.
does it for me as well, right? At the same time, there is a merit in being able to sort of when the in-store experience still has a pull. Or I don't know if it has a pull, but it used to have a pull at least, right? So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
so I think that's
Yeah.
so yeah. Whether on app versus screen, but voice definitely is a potential.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're thinking of a screen that would be in the retail store that
Sure.
would introduce the app to people who are anyway coming there because
Mhm.
since voice, Google Assistant's use of Google Assistant is very new and unknown
Right.
to most people. Let's say you go to a store and you see it for the first time, and then you're told that you can do the same thing on your phone without any difference, right? So
Got it.
we were thinking of it as one is a showcase, a place where customers forced to see it and
Mhm.
experiences it firsthand. And then
Mhm.
they can, like you said, they can transfer the experience over to the phone and
Sure.
continue. So you get a feel, you get some idea.
Makes sense.
You can talk to the store assistant, get more details.